A very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Yuki Pasha. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
Speaker receives the COVID-19 vaccine. Vaccine administered to the general public at various locations across Colombo. Trincomalee oil tank farm to be reacquired soon. Minister Uday Gammanpila certifies.
Trincomalee tel tanki sankirnaya nobo dinakimma apa satu wena bawa ape itama aadambaren prakasha karno.
Global crude oil price goes up. Electricity generation from garbage commences in Colombo. Intelligence units are strong and there is no issue with public security, says Minister Sarath Weerasekara.
Starting off with your lead story for tonight, the Parliament's Department of Communication has said that 24 parliamentarians have received the COVID-19 jab so far. The lawmakers have been inoculated using the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine manufactured in India under the brand name Covishield.
The COVID-19 inoculation program for parliamentarians took place today at the Army Hospital in Colombo. Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardena was among the first parliamentarians to receive the vaccine this morning. Issuing a statement, the Parliament's media division noted that the Speaker had obtained the vaccine to encourage the public in receiving the jab. Indian High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Gopal Bagle had accompanied the Speaker to the Army Hospital today. Other parliamentarians who have received the vaccine include Jayanta Samaraveera, D.V. Chanaka, S.B. Disanayaka, Chandima Veerakodi, Gunathilaka Rajapaksa, Professor Ranjit Bandara, Jayanta Veerasinghe and Kumara Velgama.
Yes, it is out of affection for the people. The government has said that the public will also be vaccinated. If I don't care for the people, I wouldn't have been elected to parliament. I don't know whether the government is affectionate towards the public.
We have not requested the vaccine, but if the government has decided to provide it to us in line with the advice of the experts, we have to support such measures.
The people are being inoculated, therefore we are also receiving the vaccine. I am more than 60 years old. We have ordered more vaccines to the country.
As public representatives, it is important for us to receive the vaccine for the safety of the people. That is because we constantly interact with the public. Journalists raised questions on the vaccination of lawmakers during a media briefing of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today.
There are 225 parliamentarians. I think about 125 of them are above the age of 60, including myself. There are only a few young parliamentarians. No, I obtained the vaccine out of fear of coming into contact with journalists. They constantly approach us for comments when we travel in our vehicles.
We are ready to receive the vaccine later on. There is no issue. But the problem is that it can spread from us to the public. We don't have the intention of only protecting ourselves. We would like to allow the public to obtain the vaccines as well.
The administering of COVID-19 vaccines to the employees of the Palyagoda Manning Market and the employees of the Palyagoda Fish Market also commenced today. Simultaneously, the vaccine was administered to people vulnerable to COVID-19 in many areas in the Western Province today. The administration of the COVID-19 vaccine to all employees of the Valisara Economic Centre commenced this morning. 450 individuals were given the vaccine today. Meanwhile, the vaccination was given to 6 Gramanildari divisions belonging to the Kolana Medical Office of Health today. Meanwhile, a group of junior staff members of the health sector staged a token strike based on several demands today. The group made 11 requests, including overtime payment. Joint Health Workers Union stated that this trade union action will be carried out in 38 hospitals across the country, including Colombo and Kandy National Hospitals.
Our health staff work 6 days a week. They don't get an allowance for other days. We have been asking for the uniform allowance for years. We are raising about 10 issues here. This is not a matter of not being able to give answers.
The junior staff of the Kalubovila Teaching Hospital joined the trade union action this morning. According to our correspondent, despite the staff of the Dambula Base Hospital taking part in the trade union action, treatment and essential services were carried out. The staff of the Nagura General Hospital in Kaluthara also engaged in the trade union.
Meanwhile, the GMOA states that salaries for several months have not been given to some doctors working in hospitals and health service institutions under the office of the Director of Health Services in the Western Province. According to a notice issued by the association, some doctors have not been given salaries close to 9 months. The announcement notes that the Governor and the Chief Secretary have stated that since the number of doctors assigned for a province has increased, the salaries of additional doctors cannot be paid. However, the Government Medical Officers Association points out that these doctors have been appointed by the Public Service Commission in comparison to the expansion of the health service in the province. They warn that if the situation does not rectify in the coming week, the Western Provincial Council will not be able to support the process of attaching doctors.
Has the price of goods really increased? Now, this is an investigation into that very topic. Today, we looked at how the prices of the basic ingredients used in cooking rice with coconut sambal and dal have changed over the recent past.
Using data from the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, we looked at how the prices of rice, coconut, dried chilies and onions have changed over the last 5 years. The average price of a kilogram of samba rice in 2019 was at 85 rupees. The average price of a kilo of samba in 2020 was recorded at 98 rupees. Today it has increased to 132 rupees. The most serious concern is the shortage of samba rice in the market. A kilogram of dried chilies in 2019 was at 367 rupees. In 2020, a kilo of dried chilies was sold at an average price of 431 rupees 25 cents is now at 580 rupees. The price of a coconut in 2019 was 37 rupees and 50 cents. A coconut brought for 62 rupees in 2020 is now priced between 85 rupees and 135 rupees. It cost 120 rupees to buy a kilogram of dal in 2019. In 2020, it was 145 rupees, and now you need between 170 and 180 rupees to buy a kilogram of dal. A kilogram of red onion was at 120 rupees in 2019 and 182 rupees and 50 cents in 2020. At present, the price of a kilo of red onion is between 500 and 550 rupees. There isn't even a grain of rice at shops. They said they would reduce the price of sugar. It was not reduced. Sugar prices have increased now. They say it's 100 rupees, 110 rupees. Some say that it's 130 rupees. They said they would give coconuts at 50 rupees. Coconuts are 110 rupees. Green peas are at 1000. How are we to eat? How do we live? Can I buy a kilo of green peas for 1000 rupees? How much is undu? 1600. How can people eat?
The government is deceiving us. Through media, the government says that prices of goods have been reduced, but only when consumers go to the market they realize the truth.
With prices of daily essentials on the rise, the price of crude oil is rising rapidly in the world market. A barrel of crude oil is priced at $63 and 92 cents in the Brent market today. The price of one barrel of crude oil in the American market has increased to $60 and 61 cents. Within the past 1.5 months, the price of a barrel of crude oil in the world market has increased by 22%. With the spread of COVID-19 last year, the price of a barrel of crude oil dropped to -$38 in April. World oil prices rose again from May, and till November, the price of a barrel of crude oil reached a limit of less than $40. With the prices of crude oil across the world dropping and the reduction in demand for crude oil in Sri Lanka last year, the country managed to save close to $1.350 billion in the year 2020 compared to the amount spent on crude oil in 2019. Last year, the country managed to save $3.88 billion in expenses for imports to the country compared to that of the previous year, and the drop in crude oil prices contributed to 35% of these savings. However, with the rise of crude oil prices from $50 per barrel to $62 at the beginning of this year, the benefit enjoyed last year might not be experienced this year. The present government stance was that they will maintain the price of fuel in Sri Lanka, although the prices of crude oil in the global market changed.
The government has taken a policy-based decision to not to use oil price formulas and maintain the prices this year. Our government decides to maintain the oil prices in the country at a stable rate, although the global prices increase or decrease. We will be establishing a fund to stabilize oil prices. When we have a benefit, we will collect the benefits, and when the prices increase, we will use those funds to cover up for that. In January 2020, the value of the rupee was at 181 against the dollar, but today it has increased to 201.40 cents, which is a depreciation of around 20 rupees. With this, oil prices have risen again. If the oil prices increase, it will affect everything including daily essentials, services and the cost of living. Therefore, we saw at the beginning of February, for a month, the government reduced the taxes on oil from around 20 to 30 rupees. If you look at all this as a whole, we see that our international issue is becoming increasingly problematic. By the 1st of January, we had $5.7 billion in reserves, but by the 1st of February, we only had $4.8 billion, which means we have spent close to $1 billion only in January. In the coming 11 months, we also have to pay close to $6 billion in loans, which means we don't have the necessary funds. Yesterday, the co-cabinet spokesperson said the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation was approved by the cabinet not to use state banks and obtain loans from foreign banks. Either the government has to increase the oil prices by the end of February or reduce the taxes imposed on oil.
තෙල් මිල පෙබරවාරි මාසෙ ඉවරනාම ඉහළ දාන්න වෙනවා. එහෙම නැති වුණොත් මේ බදු තෙල් වලට තියෙන අඩු කරන්න වෙනවා.
Fitch Ratings say most rated Sri Lankan corporates are less vulnerable than local financial institutions to the sovereign's financial distress. Fitch adds that this is because most rated companies have a combination of strong business profiles, low leverage, sound liquidity and limited exposure to government. National ratings of most corporates are now grouped at the upper end of Sri Lanka national rating scale following the scale's recalibration, which followed the downgrade of the sovereign rating to CCC from B negative in November 2020.
Stock market update.
The stock exchange closed on a mixed note today. The ASPI regained its positive momentum with a marginal gain of 0.1% to close at 7,588 points. Turnover reached 3.3 billion rupees. However, the S&P SL20 continued to drop today and declined by 0.15% today to close at 3,027 points. The top gainers were Tess Agro, SMB Leasing, Amana Takaful, Kelsey Development and Valuable Finance. The top losers were Industrial Asphalt, Blue Diamond Jewelry Worldwide and Gestetner of Ceylon.
Stock market update.
Moves are underway to reacquire the Trincomalee oil tank farm that is currently managed by the Indian Oil Corporation. Speaking at an event held today, Minister of Energy Uday Gammanpilla said that talks to reacquire the oil tank farm have been successful. The event was held to provide houses for 112 Scot families who had been living above an oil pipeline route from the Colombo port to Kolonnawa, upon inquiries made by Newsfirst.
Talks on reacquiring the Trincomalee oil tank farm for Sri Lanka concluded last Sunday. I haven't announced this previously. We were able to resolve all concerns during discussions with the Indian High Commissioner. I wish to point out that the Indian High Commissioner acted flexibly by choosing to avoid the consideration of an agreement signed in 2017 on this matter, and instead he agreed to all conditions that we put forward following discussions with senior officials and trade unions. We wish to proudly declare that the Trincomalee oil tank farm that slipped out of our possession since 2003 and has not been utilized effectively since the Second World War will be ours in a few days. Most of the ships travelling near Trincomalee are those belonging to India. Therefore, we would need India's support if we are to win that market. Accordingly, I wish to promise the people that the Trincomalee oil tank farm that was not used over the last 80 years will be developed and transformed into a revenue-generating entity with the agreement of the Lanka Indian Oil Company.
නිදැල්ලේ ප්‍රයෝජනයක් නොගෙන තිබුණු මෙම සම්පත භාවිතා කරන්නට නුදුරු අනාගතයේම අපි කටයුතු කරනවා කියන එක අපි ජාතියට ප්‍රතිඥා දෙන්න කැමැතියි.
Upon inquiries made by Newsfirst, the Indian High Commission in Colombo said that discussions have been held to promote mutually beneficial cooperation for the development and operation of the Trincomalee oil tank farm. The High Commission added, "We look forward to continuing our productive engagement with Sri Lanka in this regard." A total of 102 storage tanks were constructed at the oil tank farm by the British during the Second World War near the Trincomalee harbour. The collective capacity of all tanks has been measured to be 12,500 cubic meters. 99 storage tanks are in a usable condition at the facility that consists of 83 tanks in the upper tank farm and 17 tanks in the lower tank farm. The Lanka Indian Oil Corporation is currently managing 15 oil tanks.
There is a huge issue here. India wouldn't defeat the good governance government and bring in the Rajapaksas into power without a reason. There must be big deals. We request a one-day debate to reveal the details of those agreements. We can unveil Gotabe's hidden deals through this debate. Then what will happen to the sovereignty and the independence of our country? Are they expecting to bring Indian leaders here and give power to the Bharatiya Janata Party through the dual citizenship clause in the 20th Amendment? These are questionable instances. The country gets degraded.
Nepal's Foreign Minister Pradeep Kumar Gyawali has officially informed India that he strongly condemns the purported plans of the Bharatiya Janata Party of India to expand its politics to Sri Lanka and Nepal. He said this via a statement issued on social media. The Nepalese Foreign Minister has condemned the statement made by Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Deb, who spoke quoting Indian Home Minister Amit Shah, stating that the BJP will extend its victories to Sri Lanka and Nepal. He said that formal objections have already been raised in this regard. The Hindu newspaper also revealed that the Indian Ministry of External Affairs has not yet responded to the objections raised by the Nepali Foreign Minister. This was the response of the ruling Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today on the purported plans of the Bharatiya Janata Party. We don't know of such a thing. I do not know if there is any truth to the story that a party from another country is operating within our country.
ජනතා භාරතීය ජනතා පක්ෂයේ නායකතුමා මෝඩි අගමැතිතුමා ලංකාවේ හොඳ මිත්‍රයෙක්.
Leader of the BJP, Prime Minister Modi is a good friend of Sri Lanka, a very good friend of the President and the Prime Minister. I know that when the Prime Minister met Prime Minister Modi at one point, he took Minister Namal with him. At that time, Namal was a young MP. Prime Minister Modi told him to come at any time. The Indian Congress and the Gandhi family of that party are our close friends too. The Indian Congress and the Gandhi family of that party are our close friends too. There is a great bond between the Gandhi family and our Rajapakshas. Sonia Gandhi is also a close friend of our party, so we should not worry about that. It is a great strength. The fact that India is to be with us, they are like our relative, our neighbor.
ඒ නිසා අපි එහෙම කලබල වෙන්න හොඳ නැහැ. ඉන්දියාව අපිත් එක්ක ඉන්න එක අපට යෝධ හයියක්. ඔහු අපේ ඥාතියා.
Meanwhile, the president of the Sri Lanka Shiv Sena, Maravala Pulavu Sachitanandan, has told the BBC World Service that he intends to form a political party called the Sri Lanka Bharatiya Janata Party. He has further stated that this is the aspiration of the Hindu people living in this country as well.
Special report.
With the latest developments in the political and economic relations between India and Sri Lanka that have made headlines in recent times, the proposal to hand over 3 islands off Jaffna for a Chinese power project is still being implemented. Cabinet approval has already been granted to a Chinese company to operate the power project in Delft, Nainativu and Analativu Islands. The Newsfirst team inspected the preparations for the implementation of this project on Delft Island yesterday. Today our team went to the Nainativu Island, more commonly known as Nagadeepa, to explore the preparations for the implementation of the Chinese projects there. The island has significant importance over and above the other islands in Sri Lanka due to its historic locations. The historic Nagadeepa Viharaya and the Nagapushani Amman Kovil are located on this island. A large number of devotees visit the island daily from various parts of the country. Covering an area of 4.68 square kilometers, the island has a population of 2,650. The livelihood of most is based on the fishing industry. The land close to the sea in the Vellai Manal area on the southern coast of the island has been set aside for the proposed Chinese power project. This land of about 3 acres is located in the geographical locality where Delft and Katchaitivu Islands are located. Our correspondent said that the land recommended for the proposed project has been acquired from a private owner. Serious foreign interference is taking place in our country through these power plants. These do not generate electricity. These solar power plants will inevitably become plants that generate political opinion against the country. The government is unable to use local engineers to take advantage of the sun that shines above us. This is the truth. Today the government is kneeling before America as well as India on one side and China on the other. Today our country has been turned into a piece of meat before three countries. Today this country is being destroyed by being pulled on all sides. Now 3 islands in the north are being given to China on one side. On the other side the Hambantota port has been given, and then discussions are ongoing to give another part to India. Then is there not going to be a serious issue in our country regarding the security of the sea as well as national security? Yes, the security of the sea will not be lost now that we are generating electricity, because the surrounding sea and our exclusive economic zone belong to Sri Lanka. All its activities are under our supervision. There should be some compromise in it. We should look at the development of the country. We should not only look at the security of the country. There has to be some balance between the two, and that is what is being done. We cannot completely ignore development and consider only security. It is the same way the other way around. There is a balance between the two. Today the intelligence wing is strong, and as long as the intelligence is strong, national security will be strong as well.
A father's love is protective and caring, surrounding our motherland with the protection and strength of a father is our ocean.
The Sea of Sri Lanka.
Speaker Mahindaya Pabewardena has requested the Foreign Ministry in writing not to arrange a visit by Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan to the Parliament. When Newsfirst inquired into the matter, Speaker Mahindaya Pabewardena stated that only half of the staff of Parliament are currently attending work. The Speaker stated that if the Prime Minister of Pakistan is to visit Parliament, the entire staff will have to be summoned, and that is not appropriate given the present circumstances. The Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan is scheduled to arrive in Sri Lanka on the 22nd of this month, and he was initially scheduled to arrive in Parliament on the 24th. The 46th session of the UN Human Rights Council will begin on the 22nd of February, and the report by the High Commissioner of Human Rights on Sri Lanka will be discussed on the 24th of February.
Meanwhile, the Attorney General has instructed the IGP to produce Attorney-at-Law Hijaz Hizbullah before a magistrate. He is currently being held by the CID on a detention order. He will be charged for conspiracy and causing the commission of acts of violence or religious, racial or communal disharmony or feelings of ill will or hostility between different communities or racial or religious groups by words either spoken or intended to be read. He will also be charged under Section 3/1 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights Act for propagating war or advocating national, racial or religious hatred that constitutes incitement to discrimination, hostility or violence. As information related to these charges have been revealed in investigations through reliable sources, the Attorney General instructed the Inspector General of Police to produce Hijaz Hizbullah before a magistrate as per the provisions of the Code of Criminal Procedure and name him as a suspect after informing him of the details of those charges and recording a statement from him. Moving on, solid waste power generation plant capable of producing 10 megawatts through 700 tons of solid waste daily was opened today by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa.
Prime Minister's office stated that this will create a sustainable solution for the disposal of solid waste in the city of Colombo. The project is a sustainable solution for renewable energy generation and is a public-private partnership project.
Have adequate solutions been provided to environmental issues constantly reported in the past few months? This is our investigation into it.
A group including the leader of the Pollebed, the indigenous community, visited the area around the Rambakan Oil Reservoir to inspect the large-scale deforestation being conducted in the area. They witnessed hundreds of acres being cleared out in the area.
These company owners come to a state where by tomorrow, according to this plan, they will remove even these stones and take them to Colombo to make their own homes.
The Rambakano irrigation system, which consists of clean water and ancient ruins, is facing a grave threat in the face of these projects. The indigenous community has already lodged a complaint regarding this as well. Around 15 acres in Bimpokuna of the Hambegamu Weber Reserve, adjacent to the Dahayagala Sanctuary, has been dozered and destroyed. The residents of the area pointed out before the area was dozered, it consisted valuable trees such as Miller, Palu and Veera. If immediate action is not taken to stop this massive deforestation conducted by large businessmen for agrarian purposes, what is the fate of the other trees adjacent to this plot? Meanwhile, the Satyagraha commenced by the farmers of the Valsapugala area demanding the establishment of the Hambantota Wild Elephant Management Zone entered its 31st day.
Although you see that escapism is better than any illusion out there, this time the farmers of the Valava movement are not prepared to fall for any illusions you throw our way. Don't play with our farmers.
After the
23rd, this battle will turn into a national battle. Let the farmers who are minding their farming activities get back to our lives and provide a sustainable solution to this wild elephant conflict. Let the farmers live in peace.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Highways has decided to construct the central highway without destroying the Crudia Selanica tree near the Daralua railway station in Gampaha. Secretary to the Ministry of Wildlife and Forest Conservation Bandula Harishchandra said the relevant decision was informed to him by the Secretary to the Ministry of Highways Ranjit Premasiri.
Dahayagala Sanctuary, Floodplain Reserve, Jalagalum Anavilunda Wetland, Orugalyaya Reserve, Singharaja, Bambarakanda, Pidrutalagala, Daraniyagala, Valikanda Reservation, Vandamidemalia Protected Area. It's a proposed elephant management reserve. Kiri Suddan in Madhu Forest Reserve, Kalpitiya Mangrove Site, Kirinda Thissa Maharama Mangrove Sites, they are destroyed already. Galloy National Park, Lahugal National Park, Rambakan Oil Land Clearance, Ginganga area, the watersheds. Environment and Wildlife Minister, why is he a professional for that? What is his qualification? You are supposed to appoint someone who knows about ecosystems and biodiversity for that position. Is this all being done for money and power? You know, for votes, which is power. Road development people, the contractors, and you know they keep a commission, and you get a commission. The minister gets commission. Everyone gets a commission except the public, normal public. These protected areas are not for you to develop. That is out of touch. You know, you building some jogging tracks or buildings in Colombo, that doesn't mean you do that in Daraniyagala. Possibly compare Colombo to Daraniyagala. You are destroying our forest in an alarming rate. At an alarming rate. Animals are going to suffer, humans are going to suffer. People kill elephants, elephants kill people. Because these forests, some of these forests are connected. Stop doing this now, stop deforestation right now.
And with that, it's a wrap of primetime news here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Yuki Portia, along with our sign language interpreter Brian De Cruz via Zoom. Take care and good night.